Well, today on the Jody Kenny channel, I am making my first attempt at refinishing a piece of furniture. I got this piece of furniture. It's a mid-century modern coffee table at the Salvation Army. As you can see, it's in kind of tough shape. It doesn't have a front drawer and it's got a lot of scratches on it. So as you can see, the first thing I did was wipe all the cobwebs and dirt off of the actual piece of furniture. And then I decided to pull off the rubber footings that somebody had applied to the bottom of the coffee table so it went and scratched the floor. What I found underneath was that there were actual brass footings, and I thought that those were so cool, but I figured I needed to tape those up because if I was going to refinish, I wanted to try and preserve those. So as you can see right there, I taped them up. Then I decided to wipe down and wash down the table, any dirt that might have been stuck to the table. You need to have a certain amount of supplies. So here's my supplies that I used. A mask because the stripping gel is very strong even if you're outside like I was. Some rubber gloves, a paintbrush, and some citrus strip paint and varnish remover, as well as some cling wrap. As you can see, I'm strapping up and getting ready to go because I wanted to make sure that I was protected. You need to use a generous amount of this citrus strip. So you want to make sure that you want to really cover the surface, and you also want to be sure to get into all the nooks and crannies of the table. Looking back at this, I do believe this was an ambitious table to attempt for my first makeover because of all those cracks and crevices I had to get inside of. Now it was a chilly day out, low 50s. I wanted to wrap the table in plastic wrap to help generate some heat from what the sun we did get from the day and to help accelerate the chemical reaction to loosen up the varnish from the table. The instructions say you can leave it on between 30 and 24 hours, 30 minutes and 24 hours. I left it on for a couple hours and then I couldn't stand it. I had to go for it. And as you can see, this is probably the most satisfying part of refinishing a table. This, not so much. This was a lot of tedious work at getting into the little cracks and crevices, and that was a lot of work. So I have to say, that was not very fun. And then I cleaned off the rest of the citrus strip with some steel wool and some mineral spirits. So I wanted to clean the table up really nice. Two sets of gloves, 3 steel wool pads, countless paper towels, a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and a freezing woman. And it's finally cleaned. So we have stripped the table. Now I'm going to bring it inside and let it dry, and then we can get to sanding. It's freezing out. I'm ready to go inside. Day 2, I was a little too aggressive with this Big Daddy sander and I went through the top part of the wood. So I switched over to a smaller sander, which was much easier for me to handle. It was lighter. Also, it was breezy and 70 degrees, so it worked out perfectly for sanding. And then I had to do some hand sanding, which was the least fun aspect of the sanding process. I did it with a 120 sanding grit at first, and I got a visit from my kitty. This is Boo Kitty right here visiting to say hello. Say hi to the camera. Hi. And then I decided to try some wood putty to try to fill in some nicks. This stuff dries very quickly, so you have to work really fast, and it sets up very quickly. It set up in 30 minutes, and the next thing you know, once I had it on, it was dry. I actually had to remix it to get another part of the table. And then I just gently, ever so gently sanded because I did not want to mess this part up. And you can see right here, I'm sanding and wiping just because I wanted to make sure that I had a nice smooth surface. And then I got my 220 grit, very fine grit sand paper, and I went over the top of the table, and I got my mineral spirits out and I wiped off any extra dust, and it was time to stain. I was using a gel stain. I was using a mahogany gel stain, and it definitely made the table a little darker than I had hoped in the end. I had hoped to have a bigger contrast between the lighter and the darker woods, but in the end, when you see it, I think it actually works really well for the space. So everything works out. Everything happens for a reason, right?
Okay, I'm going to use this clear aerosol lacquer, and I'm supposed to put 3 coats of it on it and wait 30 minutes in between applications. Okay, so we're on our last coat. I'm going to try to do a very good job on this last coat. Hopefully I won't miss anything and I won't do too much overspray.
And with that done, I tried to polish the brass feet on this table, but it just didn't happen. So I ended up painting it with some acrylic paint. I think it came out okay. This was a challenging and fun project, and I'd love for you to leave me a thumbs up and a comment below. Also, share this with a friend that you think you might like this channel. And don't forget to subscribe. Till next week, I'm Jody Kenny.